logo of the team, complex dynamics and geometry in complex. Okay, so in French is dynamic and geometry complex, so it's better than this, which is dynamics and geometry in complex. Okay, so it's a team there are 6 teams in the IMT. Okay, in Toulouse, and this is one of the team. Okay, and this is the logo of this team. And so just I add some dots that you will not see if you go on the website on this team. And what does it represent, this picture? So you take a point in the complex plane. So this is a complex plane. So x and I, y. Okay. So you take a point, for instance, here. This is a point x plus iy that I write z. That's a complex number. And I take the transformation, so t transformation, which maps z to z square plus 1/4 plus epsilon. Epsilon is also a complex number. Okay? So I take a point here in red. Can you see? Not so good. Okay. And its image is here. And then its image, next one is here, next one is here, next one is here. So on this picture you see all the forward image of the point starting here. But if I take a point here in green, its image, so it's a computer picture, so it's done by a computer. Its image is here, then it's here, then it's here, and then it goes to here. Oh yeah, I don't remember. Okay? So if you see the color, you think that it represents something. In fact, the color is relative to the speed. You see this sequence. When you take the sequence, you start with one point z naught, then you have z1, which is t of z naught, and z2, z3, etc. So you get a sequence of complex number, and you look what happened. Does it converge to somewhere, or does it have a strange behavior? So it's a composition, which is called iteration of t applied to a first point. And you see on this picture that a lot of points are going to infinity. When z is very large, when you take z square, it's even larger. And if you add some small number like 1/4 plus epsilon, it doesn't change a lot. So it goes very fast to infinity. It converges to infinity. So the blue is the variation of blue, and green is the speed going to infinity. So if you see a line like this, all this, they go to the same speed to infinity, to some round disk at infinity. Okay? And then you have all this between two curves. They are mapped to between two curves, so they have the same speed going to infinity. And then when you go back, so the blue is going to be yellow and pink, and so it alternates. Okay? But what you see on this picture is only points going to infinity in colors, and what is not in colors, it's in black. It's points that does not go. You start a point. The sequence does not go to infinity. So I just explained the picture, and now I will explain more. So first I will explain about complex dynamics, and then a specific area in complex dynamics, which is parabolic implosion. So first, the complex holomorphic dynamics. It can be with a map or with vector fields. So I only consider a map. And so the origin of this iteration comes from the Newton methods. Maybe you know the Newton methods, so I will not speak a lot. So you certainly know that Isaac Newton was a mathematician and a physicist, and he wanted to solve a polynomial equation. So P of z is equal to 0. You take some polynomial of degree greater than 2, and this is the map he considers in order to get the fixed point of P. So if you have a fixed point, a root of P. So if you have a root of P, it's the same as having a fixed point for the Newton maps. And a fixed point, you can get it by iterative method, so what he discovered. And so there is a theorem which proves this, and that you can prove with elementary analysis. So if you know that you have a root, alpha is a root, then if you start with a z0, which is very close, so the distance in R2 is very close to alpha, then the sequence you build with this transformation, n of p, which is z minus p over p prime, will always converge to alpha. So if you are near alpha, then it will converge to alpha. So this can give you a good approximation of numbers and things like this. Okay? And the picture you should have in mind is that you have a neighborhood, and for each point in this neighborhood, z0, then you may turn and do a lot of things, but you converge to the fixed point alpha. Do you have questions? No? So then you can ask, okay, it's just a neighborhood, so maybe you have to know the root, so it's very strange. If you know the root, you can find the root, okay. So Schroeder and Cayley, they wanted to study it globally, because they want to know if you can find all the roots, okay? And if you have several roots, if you start with a point, do you know to which root you will converge according to your starting point? And also, if you can always converge to a root, or you can have other behavior. Maybe you don't converge, and can you understand the behavior of the sequence? Okay? Maybe it's make like a cycle, or something like this. Or it's turning around in a disk. Okay? So this is a question they asked. And they couldn't do a lot. Okay? They could only go to degree 2. Okay? Polynomial of degree 2. They could solve the problem, which are the starting point converging to a root, and to which root you converge. Okay? In fact, you have the two roots, and you have the line which is at the equal distance from the two roots, and it separates the plane in two parts. And in each part, if you start in orange, you converge to the orange root, and in purple to the purple root. Okay? But they couldn't go to degree 3. Okay? And so Cayley, he wrote that it's easy in the quadratic case, so for degree 2, to see that you have a partition of the plane. But for degree 3, it's not obvious, and he could not find it. He could not find the solution of this problem. Okay, and the idea was they had at that time that there was some graph which cuts the plane in 3 parts, like at equidistance, but it's totally wrong. In fact, it's wrong because they couldn't imagine a set like this, because they didn't think to fractal sets at that time. And they couldn't compute, so they couldn't see the set. Okay? So this is in fact a computer picture, and so you cannot see the color are not so nice. So if you're, so this is, I start with this polynomial, okay? But I can change a polynomial, but so you can exactly understand what is happening. So you see the roots 0, 1, and a. But if you take any cubic polynomial, you will have a picture like this, and you will see the roots. And if you start in any range, so if z0 is in any small range, it will, by iteration, go to an range, and at the end, finish in the neighborhood of 0 and converges to 0. If you start in blue, you finish in blue, and if you start in pink, up, you finish in pink. Okay? So it's not obvious, so you have to understand, and there are a lot of articles on this Newton method on cubics. Okay. And okay, this is a repetition. So here I give you the value of A, and I explain you that if Z naught is in range, so it converges to 0, etc. Is it okay for everybody? Yes? Okay. So if I change the parameter A, so this parameter A was very special, so very nice, very symmetric. Okay? If I change the parameter A, so I didn't give you the value, but you see black region. So they are not color in orange, blue, or purple. And here I zoom here, and I see this black region. So all this set does not converge. If you start in the black, you will not converge to a root of P. Okay? So it fails. It's a very big, a large set where it fails. Okay? And this is the same picture, but you see that in the red, you converge to a root, and in the complement of the red, so you see the speed, so you have a lot of colors, but there should not be color outside. This is a computer picture. So you see that the set, which is bad, is really strange, really complicated. Okay, it's not nice at all. Okay. So it seems very complicated to understand, to have a global picture of what is happening. And since that time, nobody could understand. And in the 1918, okay, there were a contest. And Fatou and Julia, they participated to this contest. And they started to try to understand globally the iteration of holomorphic maps on the plane. Okay? So on left, this is Fatou and Julia. Okay, so what is the idea? So we look at holomorphic map on C, but you can also look on C star. Okay? And also you can add infinity if you want. Okay, you can have rational maps. So you add infinity and you get a holomorphic map on the Riemann sphere. And if you take out C star, maybe you want to iterate exponential maps or things like this. Okay, so you go to C star. And as I said before, so any holomorphic map on this on a Riemann surface, you can iterate like this. You can take a point Z naught and iterate f n time, so I write like this. Get a sequence and try to understand what is happening depending on Z naught, the starting point. And so the contest was about a functional equation. So the question was, can you solve these two functional equations? So given f and lambda a complex number, f a holomorphic map, can you find a map phi which conjugates f to lambda z? And here can you find a conjugacy, a change of variable in fact, so that the map f is like z square. So this was the question. It was a local question, but then they start with a global remarks. So this is just a picture about conjugacy. So a conjugacy, when you go from here to here, okay, so you have phi f and phi minus 1. And in fact, you have the same behavior for f and for g. Okay? So this is important. We always look up to conjugacy. It's like up to change of variable. Okay? So if one sequence converges for one map, it converges for the other one. If you have a periodic point for one map, its image is a periodic point for the other one. So periodic is what? Periodic, it means that there is a k such that fk of w is equal to w. This is a periodic point. I don't say that k is a period, but maybe less. But you come back, okay? It's okay for everybody? Okay. So now maybe you want to see some example. Okay, so for the rest of the talk I will stay with polynomials. It's enough. And I will start with polynomial of degree 1, so make some calculus. And I think you know all this, but then you have some idea. If A is equal to 1, then P is just a translation. So if you iterate, you translate by NB. So then this is going to infinity, except if B is equal to 0. So B equals 0 is just the identity. So any point converges to infinity. And if A is not 1, then you can solve the equation. You find that P has a fixed point. Okay, if you solve this equation, and you find the formula for the fixed point. We don't need it, but if you want, you can have the formula. And what is important is that if you subtract the fixed point, then you get a geometric sequence. This is classical, so I think you have done this several times. And then if you change the variable, if you put un is n minus alpha, then you get this un, which is a sequence, which is geometric. And then you know probably that because it will be a to the power n, the n will be a to the power n of the naught. Okay? So if the modulus is bigger than 1, then it goes to infinity. So I assume that z naught is non-zero. Because, okay, sorry. Okay, sorry, it's a u. Of course, if I start with the fixed point, I will stay fixed. So I'm considering the non-fixed point. So if a is bigger than 1, this goes to infinity. The size of un is tending to infinity, which means that Zn tends to infinity. If this one is strictly less than 1, then this one is going to 0. So the n tends to the fixed point. Sorry, it's not in modulus. It's the n tends to infinity. There is no modulus here. Okay, you have to take this out. Sorry, it's a mistake. And if a is of modulus 1, okay, and not 1, modulus 1 but not 1, then you get this sequence. So you start with a point u naught, and you have the rotation. Okay, you have 0, you have u naught, and you get a rotation on the circle. Okay, and what you see here is that you get a subgroup of R, because you have plus Kp, and you know that the subgroup of R, they are either discrete or dense. So it means that on the circle, on the circle, the orbit is discrete or dense. Okay? So it's very simple. We know everything. Okay? And if we go to degree 2, okay, so I didn't put the change of variable, but you have az squared plus bz plus c. And you can put a change of variable so that a disappears and b equals 0. Okay, so just lambda z plus mu. And if you do a change of variable, you will have lambda squared divided by lambda or something like this. So you can put it to 1. And if you translate, the roots of the polynomial are symmetric, so it will be 0 here. I mean, you can compute by a change of variable. You can conjugate this polynomial. It's conjugate to z squared plus c. Okay? So since I look only up to conjugacy, I will directly look to z squared plus c. Okay? And okay, so this you can. So most of the people think that looking at sequences is very elementary. And so Adrien Douady was doing complex geometry with very complicated bundles, and I mean you can see what he was doing, very abstract, complex geometry. And then he started to be interested to this question, because there were these computer pictures that shows a lot of information. Okay, so he had a lot of hints, and he wanted to go into this, and he told to his colleagues, and even if when he was invited at the Academy of Science, he told, no, my research subject is complex sequences of given by a polynomial of degree 2. And he was very proud of this, because everybody was thinking that it's very easy. Okay, and it's not so easy because a lot of people went in this area since that time. Okay, so it was 1980, something like this. Okay, and and a lot of Fields medals were interested in this subject. So here, I don't remember if Sullivan got the Fields medal or not, but okay. He got the Abel Prize. Okay, so you have done a lot of work, but it's still plenty of open questions, and one very difficult question that nobody could solve. Okay, I will explain you a little more about this. Okay, so I just put the mathematician who got the Medal Fields and Abel Prize here, but there are plenty of people working in this area, and also in higher degree, in higher dimension, and blah, blah. Okay, so I start with a polynomial of degree 2. So I start with the simple one, c equals 0. Okay, and so you see the sequence is very easy to compute. So you have z naught to 2 to the power n plus 1. And the same, if you start above 1, you go to infinity. If you start below 1, you go to 0, and here on the boundary it's much more complicated. Okay, multiplication by 2 is not clear on the circle. You can have a lot of behaviors. It's not periodic or dense. Okay, and then you take a small epsilon, and but you make it vary continuously from 0. And you see that you will get a continuous motion of the Julia. I didn't. Okay, sorry. Of this picture. Okay, I will define what is the Julia. So, when z naught is very small, you still have. So this is a c, which is a epsilon, which is very close to 0. When you are close to 0, you still converge to 0. When you are large, you still converge to infinity. And in between, it's chaotic, and you don't find some circle which is invariant or nothing like this. And if you vary epsilon, you see the picture is deforming continuously. Okay? This is only when epsilon is very small. Do you have questions? Okay? So, so this is the work of Fatou and Julia. So they separate the plane in 2 sets, which are completely invariant by P. Okay, not just included but equal. Okay, the basin of infinity, it's a set of z naught such that the sequence go to infinity, and the convergence to infinity is uniform on the compact set of this basin. Okay. And what is called the Fields-Julia set, it's the black part, which is the complement of the point going to infinity. So on the basin of infinity, everything is very simple, and on the field means that there are a lot of things inside. Okay, it's the black things. Okay, and the Julia set is the boundary of the basin of infinity, okay, the boundary of the green here, and it's also the boundary of the black. Okay, they have a common boundary. Okay, and what they prove is that okay, it's the boundary between different domains which are stable. Okay, so this is part of the definition, but also that the Julia set. So here I didn't define repelling. Okay, so a repelling fixed point, sorry, a periodic point this is a periodic point, and it's of period k if the k is a minimal. Okay? This is a periodic point, and it's repelling if the derivative at this point is of modulus bigger than 1 strictly. Okay? So they could prove that there are a lot of repelling. If the period is going to be higher, there are a lot of repelling periodic points. They are all in the Julia set and they are dense. Okay? So the Julia set is a closure of all the repelling periodic points when the period is going to infinity. So you solve this equation and you get all the repelling periodic points. Okay, so, and Fatou. So they partition the plane. So the Julia set GP for, okay, and the Fatou set is a complement of the Julia set. So you have a partition, the Fatou set and the Julia set. The Fatou set contains the basin of infinity and all the interior of the field in Julia set. And the Julia set is just this very thin thing, okay, and they classify the connected component of the Fatou set. Okay, so you have a set with a lot of components, I don't know, and you take a component of the interior. So you have a classification. It's due to Fatou and Sullivan. So if you start in a connected component, okay, either you converge to a fixed point inside the Fatou set, or you converge to a fixed point, up to iteration, okay, on the boundary, so in the Julia set, or you can turn like a rotation on a topological disk. Okay, so this fixed point, okay, in fact it's periodic, okay, so it's up to iteration. In fact, it's periodic. You have to change fixed. You have to change it to periodic. Sorry, okay, it's not always a fixed point. Okay, so it means that if you iterate your map, for instance, 2 times, you get a fixed point. So your map is doing like this. Okay. So here, in the case of the Newton map, you have an attracting point, and all the pink is a basin of attraction. Every sequence will be converging to this fixed point. This is for z square plus 1/4. So the yellow is a set of points converging to the point here, which is 1/2. And the red is going to infinity. Okay? So the Julia set is the boundary of this picture. And here you have this rotation in some domain. It's called the Ziegel disk. And so in the first case, so it's attracting. In this case, on this picture, so here in each case you have a fixed point. Okay? It's with derivative exactly 1, okay, and here you have a derivative which is okay. So the pi is missing. Sorry, and it's not rational, but there is a pi missing. There are some. Okay, so you can see all this when you change the value of c. Okay, in z square plus c, all this picture. And you can also see that the Julia set can be a Cantor set. So it means that it's totally disconnected compact set with no isolated points. Okay. Here is a Cantor set. Here also you cannot see. Here it's connected. Here it's connected, and here it's connected. So this is a set in black, the set of C, such that it's connected. It's called the Mandelbrot set, okay? And in the red, it's just disconnected, okay? Either it's connected or it's disconnected. When it's disconnected, it's a Cantor set. Okay, this is a very quick overview of complex iteration, okay? And it's a lot of work from a lot of people. And I just want to speak about some results. So there is this important result of Sullivan, who says that there is no wandering FAT2 component. So you take a connected component in the FAT2 set, and you take its image by the map, which is here it's P. You get a FAT2 component, etc. And the question is, will it come back or not? In fact, it's very difficult to prove. It uses a lot of geometric IDs. And so it proves that there exists a K such that, so U is a connected component, Pk of U is equal to U. Okay? So there is no wandering. Wandering means that you do not come back. Okay? So it's a very important result. And this is only for rational maps. And it was a question if it's true for non-rational maps and even in a higher degree. This is so I simplify it. Okay. So the boundary of M. The question is this a curve? Okay. So if it's a curve, we can understand the point on the curve. If it's a very wild set, we cannot understand. And it's the same as asking if it's locally connected. So meaning that every point has a basis of connected neighborhoods. We don't know also the measure. Okay, so these are still open questions. Very difficult open question. So this is conjectural. And to attack this question, there was if we can find a Julia set of positive Lebesgue measure, strictly positive Lebesgue measure, okay, this could be an approach to prove that it's not locally connected. Okay, it was think by several people, and in fact, yes, we can find a Julia set of positive measure, but it's not enough at this polynomial. The trick does not work to pass to the parameters. And this result use parabolic implosion. So this is the reason why I speak about this question, which was open for a very long time. Other question is the Julia set continuous? Does it vary continuously with C? So you have C on the picture. And in fact, no. And it's related to parabolic implosion. And can we understand the Julia set when you have a Siegel disk, this rotation in FAT2 component, so meaning on the boundary? And the question is almost, but not totally. And last question, so what happened in higher dimension? So it means that we have a function of C2 to C2, and also we can have a polynomial of degree 3, so the dimension is bigger, okay? And we have some results, but it's just starting. So I will explain what is the parabolic implosion. So I speak only about fixed points, okay? But everything is correct with periodic point, just much more complicated, okay? So you have a fixed point A, and it's parabolic if its multiplier it's of this form, okay? So when you come back, when you iterate Q time, you come back, you have a multiplier 1, okay? So for instance, if you take Z plus Z square, 0 is fixed and the derivative is 1. So it's a special kind of a parabolic point. And what is special for parabolic? That the point is a double fixed point. 0 is a double fixed point, okay? And okay, and okay, if you perturb a double fixed point, okay, if you add epsilon, you will not be able to follow this fixed point, okay? And when you look at fixed point nearby, you have a solution like this, with a square root of epsilon. And for instance, if you make a turn around 0 with epsilon, you don't come back to the same, so it's not well defined. Okay, but what is so on this picture, epsilon is very small, positive. I don't remember exactly, and here you see there are two fixed points. The same picture, and when epsilon is going very close to 0, the two fixed points they merge and they give the parabolic double fixed point. So in this case, you are outside of the Mandelbrot set. You cannot see because you are very far, but it's a Cantor set. What you see is a Cantor set on each of these pictures. Okay. And here, so you are not you are going to z square plus 1/4. Okay, z square plus 1/4 is a conjugate to okay, just another parametrization. Z square plus 1/4 is conjugate to z plus z square. Okay, so you are taking oops, no, sorry, there is a mistake. There should be not 1/4 here. So this value is close to 1/4, but in complex. Okay, and the Julia set look like this. Okay. So in white, it's a basin of infinity, and the rest is a field Julia set. Okay. So here there are some picture. This is the Mandelbrot set. So here it's connected. Outside it's not connected. So if you take a parameter C here, the Julia set is it look like the same until the limit. It's just more distorted. And if you are on the real line, you have these two pictures. And if you are in the complex, you have a picture which is really different. So you don't have continuity of the Julia set at this parabolic point. But inside the gray, you have continuity. And this is another, sorry, I thought it was me. Another parabolic point, okay, which is with some multiplier. And you have the same picture of Cantor set, which is not converging continuously to the limit. So what are the important, I spoke already a little about this. What are the important application of this parabolic study? The parabolic study is to look at what happened to the point when you perturb a map with a parabolic point. You understood? Yes? So you look at the dynamics that is created when you perturb a parabolic fixed point. Is it clear, or do you have questions? Okay, so to understand the picture of the formation of the Julia set and to understand the behavior of the point. Okay, so the first result was given by Adrien Douady. He proved that the Julia set does not vary continuously, not always, meaning not always. And one of his PhD student, Lavorce, he proves that the analog of the Mandelbrot set for a polynomial of degree 3 is not locally connected. So it means it's really very wild. So it will be very difficult to understand the behavior of cubic polynomials. And afterwards, Shishikura, he proves that the boundary of the Mandelbrot set, so all these people, they use the parabolic implosion, okay, as Hausdorff dimension 2. Okay, so I think I don't have time to explain you what is Hausdorff dimension, but it's how a set is complicated. Complexity of this. When you want to cover with balls, you have to count how many balls of some given radius you need to cover, and take some logarithm and divide by the logarithm of the radius, and you get a limit which gives you the Hausdorff dimension. Okay, so when you have a curve, usually it's between it's 1. Okay, in C. But if the curve is if you have a differentiable curve, it's 1. But for more complicated sets, it can be 2. So Shishikura proves that to prove this, he has to provide a Julia set of Hausdorff dimension 2 first, and then he could prove that, in fact, the boundary is very, very bad. He has Hausdorff dimension 2. But we still conjecture that it's a nice curve. Okay. And Buff and Cherita, they are here in Toulouse. So they could break this conjecture, which was a very important thing, that there exists Julia set of a positive Lebesgue measure in the family of D square plus C. Okay? And this, a lot of people were looking at this conjecture. And afterwards, so this is also a team with people here. So Jasmine Raisi was here. Astorg was a student of Buff. So they could prove that if you look at some dynamical system in higher degree, so from C2 to C2, you can find wandering domain in the Fatou set. So I will not explain you what it is because you have to leave soon. Okay, but using parabolic implosion, you can break a lot of conjecture. I mean, a lot. It's a lot of work also. Okay. And the last question I asked about in the beginning is a difficult question to understand Siegel disk, and so they could find application to understand the size of the Siegel disk. Okay, so Buff, Cherita, and other people. So about the continuity, okay, so there is this theorem of Douady. So he proves that if you look at the Hausdorff distance, I will explain what it is later, on compact set on the Riemann sphere, but you can look at in C. It's discontinuous when you have a parabolic point, okay? And here, if you have a degree which is higher, it could be persistent, the parabolic point. But you want to perturb so that the parabolic point break, okay? So it's discontinuous if you have a parabolic point, and it's continuous at all the other parameters. So the parabolic points are really the points creating discontinuity. Okay. So I will explain quickly what is this. Maybe you know. Okay. So you have a metric space, and you a compact set in this metric space, and you can define something which is not a distance, but which explain you that some set is in an epsilon neighborhood of the other one. Okay. So if this is less than epsilon, so it means, if I could remember, is that A is in the epsilon neighborhood of B. So it's not a distance, but it's a way to say that two compact sets are close, not too far. Okay. And to get a distance, you take you make it symmetric. So you take the maximum of the distance between A and B and the distance between B and A. Okay? And this is the Hausdorff metric on compact set. Okay? Do you have questions? So when we speak about discontinuity, it's with this Hausdorff distance and the topology on compact set induced by this distance. And what is a semi-continuous continuity? We say that the function, so it will be the Julia set here, is upper semi-continuous if for this distance which was not the Hausdorff distance, okay? You have continuity with this semi-distance where the set is varying on the right, on the left, and lower semi-continuous continuity if the varying set is on the right. Okay, so I should explain a little more. So I will not prove the result of Douady, but I will give you some hint why the Julia set, not the field Julia set, but the Julia set is lower semi-continuous. So the Julia set, G, okay, which is the boundary of the field Julia set. So there is a first thing that was proved by Fatou and Julia, that the repelling periodic points are dense in the Julia set. Okay, So what we want to prove is that so the maximum of the infimum of the distance between point W, if I remember well, and Z is in the Julia set of parameter lambda, and W0 is in G lambda naught. This tends to 0. I mean, it's smaller than epsilon when lambda tends to lambda naught. Okay? I go back to the definition. Supremum of, okay. So, sorry, it's a supremum. Okay? So, we use that repelling periodic points are dense in the Julia set. So, it means that we can cover the Julia set for lambda 0, okay, F naught. The Julia set is a compact set. You can cover with a finite number of ball of radius epsilon over 2. In this ball, you will find a repelling periodic point, okay? Because repelling periodic points are dense, okay? And what is important about a repelling periodic point, okay, is that you can solve, using the implicit function, you can solve the equation being a repelling periodic point. So being periodic corresponds to this equation, okay? So if you put a parameter lambda E here, you want to follow the solution, you want to prove there is a solution depending on lambda, okay? And this is possible by the implicit function theorem, okay? If you consider f lambda of z, which is f lambda k z minus z, and the derivative at z is just the multiplier minus 1. So here you see that the multiplier different from 1 allows you to follow any periodic point of period k. Okay? So it means that if I move my parameter, I can follow all these periodic points and they stay because I have a finite number of periodic points. Each periodic point, for each periodic point, I will write zk. There exists a neighborhood lambda k of lambda naught, such that for any lambda in lambda k, the map lambda go to z k lambda is well defined and is holomorphic. This you cannot do with parabolic points. This is the big problem with parabolic points. But with repelling, okay, this is non-zero because this is of modulus bigger than 1. So you can follow them, okay? It's holomorphic. So if you take the intersection, of all these neighborhoods, lambda k, you have a finite number. Okay, you have covered with a finite number. You have holomorphic motion of all these periodic points. Okay? The intersection, oui, yes?
Is it true that any repelling periodic point does belong to the Julia set?
Yes, this was a...
Yeah. No.
Repelling periodic point belongs to the Julia set.
It's
yes, dense. Yes.
Inside, but
yes.
Maybe
the set. No, the set of periodic points, the closure of the set of periodic points is equal to the Julia set.
Okay.
Yeah, good question.
And is it easy to see that repelling periodic point is necessarily in the Julia set?
It's not too difficult, but it's not. I mean, okay. you can conjugate to lambda z, and you see that it's. I mean, if you iterate, it's not bounded. Okay, and you have to be bounded, not to go to infinity. This is the idea. Okay, so and then the derivative is something which is continuous. So if lambda is small, you will still be repelling, because repelling is strictly bigger than 1, and you have a finite number of points. So you have a repelling periodic point close to any, okay? If you are in a small neighborhood, you have a neighborhood of psi epsilon over 2. You move from you move from your Julia set to a point which is very close. For lambda, very close to lambda naught. And this repelling periodic point, they belong to the Julia set of f lambda. Okay, so you have a finite number of periodic points in the Julia set. You can perturb this finite number when lambda is very close. These periodic points, they belong to the Julia set G lambda, okay? And they all stay in a epsilon neighborhood of G lambda, okay? So this implies if you take the infimum, okay? If you take the infimum, so for any point W naught, you can find a periodic point which is very close to it. And you make epsilon over 2, then you make this holomorphic motion, and you find a point in G lambda, which is a distant epsilon over 2. So you find a point which is a distant epsilon, less than epsilon, okay? And this is for any point W naught here, okay? And okay, you just have to see that you can take the inf and the sup. Okay, so this proves lower semi-continuity. So the final Julia set is in a neighborhood of the other one. And so next thing I want to, maybe I have to be more quick, I don't know. So remember the Julia set of z square plus 1/4. Okay, it's here. This is the field Julia set of z square plus 1/4. Okay, and so you can find the C very close to 1/4. So you take a point here in the middle, and so parabolic implosion allow you to say that you can find C very close, so that this point is in the Julia set of d square plus C. Okay. So it means that this Julia set they accumulate to any point of the field Julia set. So they will field. If you take all the limit, if you take all the lambda, sorry, all the C, very small, you take the closure and you take all the limits, so intersection of union, you will see that they field all this. Okay? So, oops, does not fit in the, okay, sorry, it was cut. So I will explain very quickly what is going on. So you can do this for z plus z square, but also when you have a higher order term, it's okay, it works also. Okay, so the field Julia set look like this picture. Okay, in black the points which are not going to infinity. 0 is a parabolic fixed point, and for epsilon, this is epsilon. It's a complex number next to 0. Okay, and if you take epsilon strictly positive going along the positive real axis, then you have this behavior that appear. Okay, it's you have parabolic implosion. Okay, no, it's for alpha. Sorry, it's for alpha. It's not for the for epsilon. Okay, sorry. And if you are on all this direction, you have a nice continuity of the picture. Okay, so there is if you take a straight line, okay, it's very difficult to get what is called an enrichment of the Julia set. Okay, when you have a lot of rich dynamic. Okay, so the idea was to say that you only have to take the real line. Okay, you can come from some parabola, then you get also enrichment, but not if you take a straight line. And so what happened, this is also an interesting picture. What happened, so this is when you have the parabolic fixed point with multiplier 1. Okay, so here you have imagine the cauliflower, the Fatou set. And everything is going to the parabolic point, and the size is decreasing, okay? It's converging, okay? It's not geometrical, but it's converging, the size decrease. When you perturb your parabolic point, you get two, in this case it's two repelling symmetric points. And what happens is when you iterate the same image, it goes very small, but then it goes bigger, okay? So here the number 34 is the number of iteration to get bigger than the starting one. Okay. Do you have questions? Okay, so how can we study something like this? So we have a holomorphic map starting with Z, because you want to have a fixed point with multiplier 1, and you have a higher order term. So if you make a change of variable, which is like 1 over Z, so very simple, you put 0 at infinity, but you want to take out this coefficient, so you put something which is a little more complicated than 1 over Z. What you get is that you get a translation by 1. It's W plus 1 plus other terms, which are very small, when you are next to infinity. So the picture is the following. Here you have the parabolic fixed point, okay, and everybody is converging to the parabolic fixed point, okay. And if you take this 1 over Z, you are of the form W plus 1. So it means that you get a translation when you are next to infinity, okay. You have to avoid some parts because this conjugacy works only if you are in a domain which is bounded. So if you take 1 over Z, you have to avoid the neighborhood of infinity go to a neighborhood of 0, small neighborhood. So you understand that what you are looking at is just a translation. So it's very easy. So it's almost a translation, and there exists a theorem. I don't know, you will not have time, but I can sketch. Okay, this is a picture. If you take, so this is a change of coordinate. So next to infinity, it's translation by 1. So if you take a vertical line, it maps to something which is almost vertical. And this gives you a curve here, taking 1 over Z, which is mapped to something which is a curve which is disjoint and look like this. Okay? And when you, so a point here is mapped to a point here to a point here. So you can take the quotient, you can glue these two lines, and what you get at the quotient is a cylinder. Okay? And the cylinder, remember the dynamics because you pass, everybody is passing through this cylinder. Okay? And you can do the same on the right, the direction where it go out of the parabolic point. And you see that, so the right is mapped to the left because you have minus 1 over Z, and the left is mapped to the right. So you see that here you converge to infinity, which corresponds to converging here. And here you go outside of the domain of definition, which corresponds to go to this hole. Okay, but you come from very far. Okay, so it's like this. So if you are very high, you start with a point here, you can go through, okay? You don't pass through the hole. So it means that you can start here, and if you are on the top here, you can continue and come back here. Okay? And this is very important. So here it's a nice picture. you see, so it's a partition with a positive real imaginary part and negative imaginary part. But you see the cylinder, I guess. You see these curves, they are mapped one to each other, and they converge, and this is on the other direction. Okay, can you visualize what is happening? Okay, it's just a representation of the translation by 1 in the coordinate 1/z. So what happens if I perturb this parabolic point to get 2 repelling periodic points? Okay, this picture is stable. So this curve, they stay, and you can keep this cylinder by identifying the boundary. It's a complex manifold, a very nice complex manifold, and the Riemann map theorem told you classification of Riemann surfaces tell you that it's a cylinder. Okay, and what is going on is that when you open here, the points coming from here are iterated back here, and they go through. So you have a new dynamical system that appear. Okay. And in fact, going through corresponds just to a translation. So iterating the map is just a translation. Okay? So I will go very quickly. And then you can say, I can renormalize. I can define a new map. So if I am in the neighborhood of this cylinder in this coordinate, I can define a first return map to this neighborhood. And this is a renormalization. And you can do it only on the top and bottom of the cylinder. And then you get a new map, which is a renormalization. And this new map, depending on some parameter here, the number of translation you have, can be also parabolic. So you get a germ of a holomorphic map, which is parabolic. And you can continue this renormalization. Okay? And this is a phenomena that explains the parabolic implosion. And I just want to finish with this. So Labors proves that if you take this perturbation of a parabolic map, you can find epsilon j, so small perturbation and high iterates converging to a limit, which is called Labors map, but it's not important, okay? That you can define with this coordinate. And the convergence is uniform on the basin I show you, what I call the cauliflower. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Are there questions or remarks?
Yes?